morning, everybody. I welcome all members and panelists to today's program on Sneak Peek into the life of CFOs, the leadership stories. I welcome our panelist, C. Vasu, who is a CFO in a listed company, C. Deepika Chawla, who is a vice president in a Fortune 100 company, and our moderator, C. Ruchi Maheshwari, who is a founder, CEO, RPMG Risk Consulting. And let me introduce C. Ruchi Maheshwari, and she is a chartered accountant of 1997 batch with over 23 years of extensive corporate experience in the domain of banking and financial sector. She started her career through campus placement at Unit Trust of India and subsequently moved to MNC organizations like American Express and Royal Bank of Scotland. Her career journey helped her rise to senior leadership roles and gain expertise in the fields of internal controls, SOX compliance, risk management, and project management. Her last role at RBS was Vice President, Risk and Compliance. She quit the SID role in 2019 to get into setting her own consulting firm and venturing into the entrepreneurial world. She has a flair for new technologies like RPA, blockchain, and supports organizations to evaluate on the same, along with the continuing to explore further on the rising fintech domain. She also conducts mentoring sessions for grooming talents and has also led diversity initiatives within the roles she has handled. She takes special emphasis on supporting and guiding the young talent to help achieve their dreams with her own learnings. She also propagates the importance of financial independence and focuses on educating people on managing personal wealth through her collaboration with the
I start with Mr. Vasan. Mr. Vasan is the CFO for Sundaram Holdings, and he has a post-qualification experience of more than 25 years. He's worked in multiple sectors, being manufacturing, retail, BPO, consumer internet, and has expertise in various areas, including finance, accounts, financial planning, risk management, IPO, and I think that list can go on because being the CFO, I'm sure he handles everything within the organization. So that's a high level view on Vasan, and I think we will get into details as we kind of ask him his journey. To introduce my other panelist, Deepika Chawla. So Deepika Chawla is the vice president of a Fortune 100 company. She has 27 years of rich experience in diverse financial services sector, banking industry. She's worked with brands like HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, and and she has extensively worked for women and society overall. That's also her passion, and I think we'll discover what she does along that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time into the intro, as I said, and I'm going to jump into my questions because that's the best part I love, It's always nice to be sitting and asking questions, and actually, it's not about only the questions, it also gives me an excitement to learn from these people, Being at such levels in an organization definitely gives you an edge, and I think we all aspire to be there. So why not learn from their learnings, and make our way shorter or maybe easier to handle such things. So I'm going to start with the lady on the house. So I'm going to put the first question to Deepika and using the concept of ladies first. So sorry, Mr. Vasan, but I'm going to take the liberty to ask Deepika the first question. So first, welcome Deepika to the show, and it's really nice to have you here. So Deepika, my first question is going to be that, you mentioned that you've done your chartered accountancy around 27 years plus now, that's the experience that you have. So at that point in time, and always, CA has been a profession which is always called like a profession, a man's profession, if I have to put it that way. So, what really got you into doing chartered accountancy? And how was your education journey or your chartered accountancy journey as a student, if I have to ask you?
First of all, thank you, Ruchi. Lovely to be on a platform where which has given me the foundation. I've been doing a lot of panel discussions and stuff. This is my moment. I'm on a chartered accountant for the institute. I think I've arrived. Let me just tell you that. It's a wonderful feeling. So thank you for having me here. Yeah, it's interesting. I would say that some people come back and say that CA was a cakewalk. I don't believe those people. I studied very hard. It is a lot of study. It's not easy. And three little words which helped me, and they are not I love you. They are self belief. They are being tenacious. They are being resilient. I think help a lot in this. Um, if I look at it, you, it's not 27, it is 30 years back. And I am a 5 a.m. person today because of being a CA. Because I used to study in the morning and that was my early time. Having said that, you asked me a question, what inspired me and got me here? I'm going to be very truthful because I've done a TED talk and I've said it very, very openly there. I was not planning to do CA. CA was not my journey. And I, after school, had to run my father's factory. And because of that, I could not take my MBA exams. And being a Punjabi family daughter, marriage came on the cards at an age of 20. And yeah, a lot of people on the session just now going to laugh at that, but that's the reality we belong to. And to push that away, two of my friends enrolled themselves in CA and they went and filled up my form. And that's where my journey started. And boy, am I grateful to those two friends of mine who today are in big positions across the world. But that's where my journey as a chartered accountancy, studying for that started. It was not easy. As a student, when I signed up, my grandmother to said, and I'll go a little in Hindi because those was the words she used. अगर ये पास हो गई तो शादी कौन करेगा और अगर फेल हो गई तो शादी कौन करेगा. That's where my journey of CA started, and that again made me very stubborn that I need to do it. The institute didn't have so many classes which are there today. So we would study with each other as friends because there was not a college and we could only do after college. And we used to have some 5, 6 a.m. some tuitions in various part of the city in Delhi. And we used to go and study there. It was as scary to do inter. Finding an articleship for me myself was difficult because I got through Arthur Andersen, which no longer exists. And the first audit they offered me was Sweden. And my dad said, find something in South Delhi. I mean, right from Sweden to South Delhi was like hitting me. So because I wanted to do something, I wanted to be independent, it was such a stubborn feeling that I have to study and be on my feet. I found a small, a Rhoda and Associates, which is there even today. And I walked up to them and I started my training there. I didn't go anywhere where my dad knew because I didn't want any favors. That journey of my training was so profound because being in a small place, I learned everything, tax, audits, and that has stayed with me. Having the right crowd to study with helped me a lot, the right company, because what happens is you keep practicing. Even today, you keep practicing. And if you're doing a wrong question, you continue to do a wrong question. If there's nobody to tell you. So having the right crowd around you helped me a lot. My two friends with whom I used to study, and they both were guys. and I found very less girls at that time. But really, every time I struggled or it was a challenge, I wanted to just move forward because I didn't have a choice. I needed to be on my feet. I cleared my inter, and how much I pushed my marriage, I got married. It was an arranged marriage. But I made him sign up before that he'll let me study. I landed up in Switzerland after 2 groups. I got the third group result in Switzerland. In the first year of marriage, I left him in Switzerland because my friends were taking exams. I had to study with them. So I flew back and I sat down to study with them. And they were double pressure to pass because now not only my family was looking at me, my in-laws were looking at me. Everybody was checking, वो पास हो जाएगी, वो पास हो जाएगी, वो पास हो जाएगी. She's left her husband and come back to India to study. But I felt group study helped a lot for me. It's a very big motivational factor. When you are going down, when you're struggling, you should have the right people to talk to. And you should have the right mentors to tell you. We didn't know what mentoring meant at that time, but we found those people without the word mentor. And that helped me a lot. And I didn't want to give myself a break. And in the fourth group, I did pass. I didn't fail. I was very scared. So I'm a one go through. I would continue to say having self-belief, being resilient, because you really need to work hard in this, being tenacious, and being surrounded by the right people, the right crowd who is like studying, learning, sharing, helps a lot.
Thanks, Deepika. And I think I'm sure the women members who are listening to us will understand how it is difficult to kind of do your studies while, post marriage. So it's great to know that you completed your chartered accountancy, or maybe you didn't leave the, idea of being a chartered accountant even after being married. Okay. So, Mr. Vasan, I have a similar question for you, because, was chartered accountancy your childhood dream, if I have to ask you, or how did you really get into chartered accountancy?
Okay. Good morning to everybody. First of all, thanks for this wonderful opportunity. Like Deepika was telling, that this platform is very special, and thanks to the institute. And definitely, I mean, to answer your question, definitely, I don't know, it happened for Deepika also. Definitely, CA was not my dream at all. And it just happened by fluke, I can say, or some luck. So that was the first answer to your question. And okay, how I get into CA, which is totally a different
So what
story.
was your childhood dream? Sorry, if I could just ask a one word, that what was the childhood dream? What did it change to? Maybe I think that perspective will be nice.
See, I was fond of cricket. Kapil Dev was God at the time, even now also. Okay, so we used to roam around in the grounds, and commerce stream was chosen without much options, right? And basically where I studied, I mean, it is typical Tamil Nadu. I studied in Tamil Nadu, and it is a village. I mean, not a village; it's a Palayamkota. It's a Tirunelveli district, and the options are very, very limited. So, but somehow I could able to realize that I was good in maths and statistics. So that I realized only in college when I was doing my BCom. So I finished my college there in Tirunelveli. Then I moved to Chennai for doing some higher studies, definitely not CA. So then I moved to Chennai. That also not planned much actually. Then I was looking at MCom, which was a very good option for everybody after completing BCom to complete MCom and join in a bank job. So that was the motto at that time we used to have. Then I was having interest on the cinematography also, because I wanted to do a DFT, diploma in film technology. So that was shot down by my father. So then by chance I was discussing with one of my cousin about he was telling me, I don't know, he's an engineer. He was telling me that after commerce, these are all the options you have. Then he put CA is the first option. Then I decided, okay, since you have put first, I will do the CA. without getting into the what do you say, the background of it. I decided to do CA. Then I was definitely not looking for big CA firms at the time because I wanted to study as well. I wanted to learn because it was completely, though we have done commerce, but the curriculum, what we got into, it's totally a different platform. Then I realized that I need to get into medium firm. Then I joined in one very lucky firm, RG and Company, and now they are a very leading firm, R. Gopalakrishnan and Company. And the partners were I could say it's friendly partners, basically. So they immediately sorry, before that I would like to say one more incident also. I went to one more CA firm first. Then they told me that boss, here we will not give leave. You have to study. You have to work hard. We will not give leave. That is the template they have been they are using it. Then I decided, okay, that is not my cup of tea. Then I joined with RG and Company. And they're very, very friendly. They told me, yes, we'll give leave and you study well. Simultaneously, you do the article also. So everything happened. Everything was in pipeline. So then I started getting into that CA and doing articleship. I learned a lot of things, which is a new thing actually, which we never studied in college.
Think, were you decided that you have to get into a job, or did you try practice? And because I'm just thinking, because in older times, even if, and again, I'm not when I say older times, I'm talking of just a couple of decades back. We didn't have campuses at that point in time. So how was the
Very, very
journey of
true.
getting into?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, very, very apt question. It's very true also because we don't have any, at the time, we don't have any visibility of what is practice and what is industry. We are basically clueless, actually. Then practice, somehow I felt that I could not able to get much exposure to that area because practice at that time, it was mainly into taxation related to that. So when we talk about practice, I was thinking of taxation. So I was a bit allergic to the taxation that time. So then, okay, fine. Okay, if you get to the job, first let us get into the job, then we will see what is going to happen. Actually, that the exact problem I faced. Actually, when I finished my CA and immediately when I went for a job, I mean, I have taken one job, but I somehow felt that was we are not fully fit into the industry. Then what I have done is I joined again with Fraser and Ross at that time. Now it is Deloitte. So I joined 1.5 years to get the complete industry exposure into corporates. So at that time, the partner, he was C.R. Chandrasekharan. He was very helpful and he was guiding me. As Deepika told, the mentor, what we get, that is very, very critical for our career as well as for the education. Because if he was not there, I would have taken some other route. I don't know. So he was guiding me properly. Then he has clearly told me that these are all the area which we have to improve. Then he taught me. I went to a lot of industrial audits, corporate audits. In the span of 1.5 years, I could be able to do a lot of audits, big corporate audits. So that has helped me. Then I decided this is my line. So I have chosen industry than the practice.
Okay, that's nice. And Deepika, if I have to ask you, sorry, yeah, you can ask. You had something to ask.
I want to answer the similar question, sorry, Ruchi, because I have such a different story to Mr. Vasan. And I thought it would be great for the viewers to know. And it's lovely to hear your story, Mr. Vasan. It's very motivating. But you know what? I wanted to practice. As I got and I get trained, I wanted to practice. Okay. But my husband was traveling so much, and I chose to do both my family and myself, I wasn't living in one place. And when you need practice, you need to have your followership, you need to have your customer base, you have to have that. But CA teaches you so much that you can do anything in the industry. It's an amazing line which doesn't seclude you to do one thing. Because remember, anybody who runs the company has to know the finances eventually. So knowing finances gives you a strong foundation. And I landed up from one job to another, and I kept growing in whatever field I was landing. And I owe a lot to what I studied because it opens a lot of windows to you. And I think now CA also includes a lot of technology and management, which was not at that time. And probably the jobs, the corporate jobs, as this person was saying, taught us the management piece, the marketing piece. But I felt that though I couldn't do practice, today when I look back, it was fine.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure, it's just how do you start? But I think seeing your journeys of seeing where you are, I think you were able to take your selves to the place that you wanted to kind of reach. So, because just keeping on to the same thing, were there any gender challenges that you faced? Because women in corporate segment or in the employment area have actually grown importance only over a period of time. And I'm really going to be biased in terms of asking difficult questions related to women because we do have a lot of women members who actually either give up, sit back, so we want them to kind of feel that inspiration that there is a way out. So that's why I'm asking you such questions which can help them maybe think twice before they take a decision.
So Ruchi, good question. And probably a very passionate question, for me. And I would say definitely yes, there is a glass ceiling, but there is a glass ceiling for ourselves which we create also. So there are two glass ceilings. One is which exists because of the world. One is which we create because of our own assumptions. So there are two pieces. And I did share when I joined the training, when I was looking for a job, there were multiple. So I did share my grandmother's story where my nanny said, if she becomes a CA, we can't find, a match for her. And if she doesn't become a CA, nobody will marry her. So marriage was like quite a big bias at that time, 30 years back, and that held back. It takes so many years to do. How many years are we going to wait? Blah, 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 blah. So, that was there. Then as I applied for CA, I told you I got through Arthur Anderson and first audit being in Sweden. My father said, find something. Though he was so progressive, I was the first daughter who was going to do something on her own. In the whole family from his side, nobody had ever worked, nobody had done. Even my elder sister got married at 18. Today she's a model, she's acting. But she started that at the age of 40. But at that time, it was not there. So all I'm saying is even my father told me, find something in South Delhi. That's a very strong bias. I could have been in Sweden. So I fought a lot. I gave up. I said, okay, let me do what I can. So I found something in South Delhi. Then I when I went for my interview in Arora and Associates, the first question they asked was, will you complete your CA? Imagine the perception we had created as women that they might not finish. They leave it in between if they get married. And that became like a zid, that stubbornness that I'm not going to do this to women. I'm going to carry this as a responsibility that I have to complete my CA. They are going to remember forever that they took a girl and she went places. So it became like an underlying passion, the question they asked. I was in Switzerland with my husband when I, completed my 4th group. I told you when I came back and all. So we landed up in Chennai. I was a North Delhi person. 30 years back, even the regional biases were there. I was called for an interview. I'm not going to take the name of the company, the very big company. And they said, we don't take women. Then why did you call me for an interview? My CV said Mrs. Somebody said, one of the top banks said, your husband's a Tata Consultancy Services. He travels a lot. We will not take you. I was somebody from North. So South felt she will go eventually back. I also had a bias because in North, and I don't know how many South Indians are there, they might laugh at me. Who have really guided me more than women mentors. So all thanks to people like Mr. Vasan, who would be mentoring a lot of women out there because they tell us where probably our own inhibitions lie and where I can break my own glass ceiling. So I'm going to say, yes, biases occur. There will be gender biases. But as you start performing, make the competition on the skills. You at least leave the gender aside and fight your way on your capability. People will forget on the way. It's okay.
So that is the second thing which you have to cross. So that language is the first barrier in school. Then college, you are immediately coming to an English medium, but you don't know what you are studying, whether it is the mother tongue medium or it is English or something else, because the subject plays a major role. So I decided that, okay, we should focus only on the subject, leave alone the language. We should be able to very strong in the subject so that the language comes secondary, actually. So that is the biggest barrier I could able to see. If you are able to clear on that, so that easily we can break the barrier of language and move to the next level. So I mean, the subject strength really helps us to grow, and not anything else. And as Deepika told, that when you are very strong, when you start performing, whether it is in college or it is in doing articleship, naturally you are on a different track. So everything will fall back. So that way, I think definitely, which was very helpful for me to get the confidence. And not only that, see, when I joined the industry, I worked with RBG and Reliance. These two companies has given me a lot of confidence to take more tougher roles, actually. So that was the biggest learning. So that the two companies really helped me a lot. And during that time, I realized that we should not be like typical accountants doing the debit credit, and we should focus something on else. So naturally, you have to start working on with CEOs. So then you are into a different platform where you will see a different. The strength for the CAs. Definitely, we can value it a lot when you start working with the CEOs. CEOs meaning you should completely focus on the business line, and you should play a role of a business enabler, not a typical finance guys. So that transformation really helped me, and then naturally everything will fall in place. When I went for the IPO, when I was doing for one company, the IPO, then we traveled a lot for marketing the issue along with the CEO. That was the biggest challenge because in US, the expectation is something different. And Emirates, that's a different. And in Asia, that's a different. So that was really has given me a lot of learning and learning almost, even till now we have to learn. There is no other escape from that. So unless we learn a lot on a daily basis, even I take a lot of learning from my son. So that should be the way we should be open for a lot of learning. So automatically things will fall in place. So language barrier, yes, it is there, but we have to just ignore it and get on to the job. That's it. That's what I could able to see. So that way, automatically the transition will happen.
Yes, Mr. Vasan. I think your point on the understanding business or working with the business and not being only like a finance person, gone are the old days of being a munshi is what I put it, which I normally say. Finance in today's world is much beyond. It is not limited to only the debit and credit. And in today's world, definitely a finance guy is helping the business go forward, think strategic. And when you start participating, as you said, that confidence builds in because the organization is looking forward to you to kind of help them support. It's not the business guy who's going to run individually. It has to be supported by the finance team really giving them the right indicators, the right decision makers. So the what I say is like having the space on the table, having a voice on the table is very, very important from a chartered accountant in today's time.
True.
So yeah, you're right. I'm just shifting gears and coming on to Deepika. Deepika, you mentioned that you've had a lot of travel things because your husband being into a tech kind of a role, having a lot of travel. So how did you really balance between the global things? And sorry, just to add, as you mentioned, you're into a Fortune 100 company, which is again a global company. So, I'm sure you would have had your own travel agendas also. So, balancing between your husband's, stuff, travel plans, your travel plans, and then, after marriage, family and kids. How did that all go through? Juggling so many balls together. How did that work?
Thank you, Ruchi. So, good question. I think more than travel, even in my initial years, when I was with ICICI, I remember it was the KV Kaba time when the bank was reborn, which was called 828. And everybody else was in the shift except the chief manager, the branch manager. He was sitting. So I was a branch manager, chief manager, and I was working in 828 branch. And it was new. Everything was so different, and it was so wonderful. Can you just keep up? I need to check. I'm sorry. Apologies. So I worked like crazy, and my children were very young. I had a very small daughter and a son. And then as I moved to the global company, the travel plans were there. I had to travel. My husband was traveling. I think a couple of things which I worked upon on myself, which really helped are, I have created a very strong support system at home. I think it's a mandatory thing for women. It's again a gender biased answer I'm sharing, but it gives you a lot of space to think, work, perform. If you are at ease that your children are being taken care, that your house is being taken care, there's somebody there. I used to spend a lot of quality time. I also, from the fact that I'm paying support system, remember when my children were young, I used to send them for tuition. And a lot used to get upset. I'm going to use it in Hindi. लायक बच्चों को ट्यूशन भेजा जाता है. And for me, the fundamental was that if I come back from office and I sit down to do their homework, I'm going to scold them a lot. And that's my time with them. I don't want to do that. That's my quality time with them. So everything creates feel guilty about it. It's taken me a long time. I think guilt is something which is inbuilt in women. Guilt for everything which is happening in the world is what we are responsible for. I don't know why. And I would just say, choose the guilt. Which guilt do you want to live with? A guilt that I, didn't spend time with my child when he or she was young, or the guilt after 30 years that I did nothing with the degree which I held on. Choose the guilt and live with it. Both the guilt is going to trouble you. So first was finding that support system, creating that. The second skill which works everywhere is asking for help. I'm fine. I'm okay. I don't feel shy. I can ask for a project. I can ask for travel. I can ask for saying that I have to travel for these 2 weeks. Amit, change your plan. That's my husband. Or my in-laws that I'll be traveling this time. My daughter has a dance performance. This is what needs to be done. I don't feel guilty. I feel it's okay. And once you learn that asking for help, you raise a hand. You do that even in the job you work for. You find a voice for yourself. You even raise a hand to say, I want to do this job. I want to do this project. I think I'm capable. Let me do it. So that small twist to ask for help changes your perspective, your personality, and you just push yourself. So I think these two things help me a lot. Yes, I travel. I remain in touch. I don't remember any day, whichever major meeting it was, at 2:30, I didn't call my children when they would come from school. And if my phone wouldn't go, they had to call me to just let me know they're back. I don't remember. I haven't missed a parent-teacher meeting, I wouldn't lie. I've made sure, and if I missed, I went back to say I was traveling, can I attend? So you got to create a balance. You got to let the teacher know, be in touch with them, use that support system to let the teachers in the school know, I'm traveling, I'm doing this. For help, creating that support system. Just use the universe. God made it for you.
And yeah, Deepika. And I think, as you said, the 2:30 call, I think I've had the same thing. My daughter used to come around 1:30, 1:45, and that would be and everybody now, over a period knew, even my bosses knew that if the phone rang at 1:40 or 1:45, it would be her daughter who's calling her and letting her know. So even in a meeting, they would say, okay, fine, go ahead, take a call because it's important for you.
And don't feel guilty. Never feel guilty about it.
Right.
Because if you're spending 12 hours in office, you can do that. You can pick up the phone.
As you said, people around you value it, they understand and they support you because everybody has the same kind of thing going in their lives. It's just that the timing may be different for them, but they would have gone through the same. Thanks, Deepika. Now, Mr. Vasan, just a quick question on this. Similarly, is like you've had a lot of change in industry roles, as you said. You started from even being into consulting or Deloitte, as you said, versus then into corporate and a lot of that stuff. So what do you think helped you grow? Was it the change or was it identifying the moves? Like if you have to summarize your journey or maybe talk about what helped you grow to just help our own younger chartered accountants, what would you say?
Yeah, true. Basically, when I joined the industry, I joined with a listed company. My first job was with a listed company. So that has given me a lot of scope for accounts to start with, actually. So when I started doing the accounts, because we are just fresh to the industry, so accounts was very new and finalization, audit, everything goes off. Then after some years, some handful of, I think 4 years, then I realized that Okay, this is very monotonous, and we have to get into some sort of a real life situation where the growth is there, and somewhere or other we need to support the business model or the company, something like that. It was going into my mind, and in fact, that articles were what I have done that has really helped me. Because we used to get into the every process to understand the nuances of every work, so that has really helped me. Then I took that opportunity with RPG Enterprises. At the time, they were starting the retail formats in India, the footwear supermarkets, along with Dairy Farm International joint venture. So I joined with RPG Enterprise in Treasury Department actually for the setting up the new projects. So that has really helped me to get into the business nuances and to understand more processes and what is the real. See, what we do accounts is just I mean in the front end, but the behind that there are a lot of things are going on, and that too in a retail. Someone in even a single store, say it is 2,000 square feet or 4,000 square feet, somebody will be manning around 5,000 SKUs, which is, and each vertical, I mean, each product has got a different profitability, all that to understand and put it in the table to get into a shape. That was really a wonderful experience what I had. And that has really helped me to hold on to the business focus. Then I realized that finance, the support, it was not a support department. Earlier, we used to call the finance department a support department. Then I realized it's a business enabler role, which is completely a different platform, right? And the finance function earlier, I mean, it was known as the information provider. In my, I could able to sense that. Then when we shifted to the business focus, the day-to-day contribution and the insight analysis to support the business was enormous. So that has really helped me to grow in my career. Then I stick on to that. Then even my next, shift to the companies, though I shifted from retail to a different, MNC. Then I moved into Reliance. Then there also it's a totally different BPO environment. Also I used to work, but the baseline is simple. Whatever we do, wherever we go, understand the business and try to enable it. So that will really give us a lot of visibility, and not only that, when you are into that role, the main agenda is to satisfy the internal customer and the external customers. So once we got into the stream of satisfying both the customers, then we are on top of it, and nothing can stop us. So that really helped me to get into my career plans very well. And though I shifted job, but my average period was, I can say, it is 5 years plus. So that has really helped me to grow in the career.
I think what you said is right. It's more about the business support that's important. And understanding businesses helps you grow and learn a lot so that you can apply that in the learnings that you take up in the next role. So, Mr. Vasan, since we're talking, and the CFO role that we're seeing in today's time has been evolving over a period, and you mentioned that in today's time we're not like the actual accountant, as we have to say. A CFO today is actually the leader of an organization, if I have to say. It is actually, the person who navigates the organization through, ups and downs and stuff. So what is really, the changes that you see in the finance world, and especially with now digital, globalization, digitization happening for organization. What do you see like a CFO role in organizations, and how has it evolved over a period? Your take on it.
Yeah. Yes, of course, the digital is playing a major role now, but definitely we need to travel along with the Excel sheets. There is no doubt about it. And whatever the ERP we have, the Excel, I think basically Excel has gone into our lives. So it's very difficult to get out of the Excel. That is number one. Number two, see that now the role is in the finance role. It's not necessarily a CFO, because see, I feel like a CFO role is definitely, it is changing a lot. but I would call it as a finance role because the designations may come and go, but the finance department or a finance role as such, definitely it has gone for a lot of changes. And now, even though Excel was there, but the Excel is getting replaced by the dashboards. So that is the first shift which is happening, and that is a very big shift because now, I mean, when you want to close the books, we need to wait till month end, and all that days are all gone. So now everything is available in a click of a button, so that your decision is getting very faster day by day. So that is a big shift. I'm seeing it, but there are a lot of challenges because when you get into the digital, because since I worked with the internet-based company, listed company also, see the source data is somewhere else, right? So how it is getting into your system or your ERP, that is the big challenge we have. I mean, definitely still the challenges will be there, but wherever there are challenges, we have opportunities. There is no doubt about it. But that challenge is going to be very, very critical. And that is the area where now the data mining or data analytics is going to play a major role. And already we are seeing a lot of data related work is happening in internet related platform companies. And even in any other companies, for that sake, the data plays a major role. And even I could able to correlate to I mean, now the practicing firms are started working in a different way, like industries also. So data is going to play a major role, and how fast we get the data in place, that is really a game changer. And it's already started happening it. And whether it is SAP or Oracle, yeah, end of the day, these are all the dashboards really is going to help us.
You're right, Mr. Vasan. So, Deepika, I have a similar question for you. Is that, being into the financial sector that you've always been, banking, financial, and that's going through a lot of change, like, the fintech environment coming in, digitalization of money, if you have to say, the transfers and all of that. So, what is the change that you're seeing, that you have experienced in your role, and how do you kind of, keep yourself to a level where you are able to manage? Because I understand that as we grow from your role perspective, your leadership guidance and support to the team is equally important to really understanding. So you have to keep yourself updated on such things. So how are you seeing the fintech thing changing, and how do you keep yourself abreast on such things?
So what is happening is, in the financial industry, all the do jobs are getting automated. So you as a chartered accountant, you possess a very good skill of review, analytical skills, which are very progressive skills today. And what is expected is all the do jobs will eventually go away, and they are going away. I progressively work on a lot on that. And you should be at the table to provide, and Mr. Vasan referred to that, analytics or solutions which help business take decisions. If you can't do that, you'll not be valued. Then what are you working for? You're not meant to create a report and just give it. What do you do with that report? What that report is supposed to share? How do I use that report? What will it drive it? Those are the skills they are looking for. Having said, at the same time, you should be aware of what's happening on the fintech side, of what's getting automated, what's the artificial intelligence available, what is the robotics world, what is the machine learning. So we talked about Excel sheets, right? There's a lot of machine learning out there which is taking all the Excel sheets away. And that's how that old habit is going to die. So we have to keep ourselves updated, upskilled to all the. You don't have to sit down to learn coding. You don't have to learn coding. You don't have to become a coder. But you should be aware, what can I automate? What are those tools available? What does AI mean? What does robotics mean? How will I use machine learning? Where can I use it? Where can I raise a hand and say, okay, go automate this? and give me a dashboard like Mr. Vasan is saying, from a Tableau, from Python. How do I use the data to create a dashboard which is business decision driven? To, to do all that, you got to upskill. And internet has made it simpler. Just look at the LinkedIn learnings you have. Just look at Udemy. Everything exists out there. You just need to find time to start becoming aware. Get a mentor for yourself to tell you what you need to do, what you are studying, where you are heading for, and start working on that. You don't even need to go to the college. You don't even need degrees. If you actually go and talk about, I'm proficient and I understand machine learning, AI, and you actually can understand, and I can make an applicable usage, it's great. So to Mr. Vasan's view, I get reverse mentored from a lot of people who are younger to me, but very proficient in these skills. I don't mind learning. I don't mind learning from Udemy or stuff like that, because I need to continuously upskill myself. I can't be left into the books when the world has moved on, everything on internet. So yeah, you got to move. You got to move with what is happening. My daughter is studying in Ashoka. I've never seen her with a book. Never seen her with a book. Everything is on the laptop. So everything is online, and it's not because of pandemic. Pandemic has given a different turn altogether. But there also the lessons, the discussion is everything. Reading is there. So there's not a book. How you upskill yourself, you need to be out there to know what's happening. And to me, upskilling is just not about the subject you do, but the subjects which will drive the results, what you want to do in your life. And you need to be up to speed to that.
So, Mr. Vasan, I have,
Yeah.
I would like to know about your, your learning, or how do you manage your learning? Because, being a listed company, managing, stakeholders, shareholders, and everybody takes a lot of time, and being global again. So, time runs. And I think at your levels, I'm sure you're looking at why not a day is more than 24 hours. Yeah, that's what is the thing that you would look for, but that doesn't happen. But then with such tight, timelines, with such hectic schedules, how do you manage your learning? Because you already have mentioned that, there's so much that's changing. So how do you keep yourself abreast?
See, learning happens on a daily basis. I mean, it need not be related to our subjects, or it need not be related to any scenario, but it comes in a different way. I mean, when we deal with, in the professional front, when we deal with so many regulatory bodies, right now, the things are changing and the laws are changing, new rules are coming in. And I mean, still, I mean, I could say that very difficult to learn the things and get onto the faster mode. Now the speed is very important than the learning. As long as you lose the speed, then we are out of the race. It's very clear. The speed is very important, and how fast we learn and get into because there won't be much time is given for you to decide. So you have to decide, take some decision within a short span of time. So unless we are up to the, I mean, what I can say, up to the knowledge, what is required by the regulators, and there will be a lot of complexity, and we should know how to, I mean, crack the complexity also. So the learning and how to break the complexity, these two things go very well within the line. And definitely, I feel that we can't allocate separate time for learning. It comes at part of work. And suppose while doing something else and suddenly you catch up with some NDAs, we used to be thorough in NDAs where we are closely working on it. But nowadays it refers to something else, then you are gone. So immediately you have to catch up, and you can't leave that in days alone, and you can't learn that later. So immediately you have to close the loop, you have to close the agenda. Then only you are in line with the other areas of learning. So like that, it has to be parallel, and it has to be a lot of there should be a lot of speed in learning it, and complexity we need to deal. I think if we are able to do that, definitely we can't learn everything, because the the way things are happening, it is going to be a very challenging one. But at least we should be in a position to accept that reality and make the things to the next level. That's what I could able to see that.
I think, Mr. Vasan, if I have to personally say, I think that original grilling has already been done into our education days. We are already
Exactly.
so vast with the kind of knowledge that we bring in, that so many subjects that we have to cover over a period, that we automatically, are diversified.
Yes.
So we know that we're picking accounting, costing, tax, risk, and everything that comes in. So I think that's somewhere gone into our blood. Okay, so Deepika,
I don't know how many students would agree to this, but I still remember I used to tell my mom, I practice all the papers, all the kind of questions, but the question comes different.
I I remember, everybody used to say, and there's always that scare when you're giving your exam, ki what will be the outcome? Because you hear so many stories where people have really taken time to kind of go through and complete their, CA. So I always used to think, everybody studies, then why such things happen? Why do people? So if I have to go through a bad phase, it'll be really horrible. How will I study again? But I think that's what the journey is. Okay.
Add to that, nowadays the zero error. I mean, that has become a very critical, right? See, when you report or when you say or when you speak something, that zero error is playing a major role. We can't slip with something else, and we can't say sorry, no. So our learning should be at different levels so that we don't do that mistake.
Okay. From everybody at a senior level perspective, you have to think what the stakeholder may
Yeah,
demand. So you have to keep extra data in hand so that you can't say
absolutely.
at a senior meeting or a stakeholder meeting or a press conference, as an example, you can't say we'll come back later. Though gone are the days where you can say I'll come back later. There is no.
Absolutely, you're right.
You have to have
You're
that.
bang on. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, Deepika, we already are talking so much, and we know that CA has already given, chartered accountancy profession has already given us a ticket, or I would say the head start already for people in their careers. But then, and again, I'm going to be consciously biased here, where I would like to know from you that all our members are qualified, have the expertise, irrespective men and women. But still, what is it that the women CAs bring to the table along with their academic qualification?
A difficult question, because it's not just about women CAs. I think women bring a different aspect on the table, because, like you said, CA would have given a head start to everybody, and that intelligence, that expertise, that was given to both men and women. I think my experience tells me, right or wrong, I probably did a little study also on that for myself, but my experience tells me there are a couple of skill sets which are very strong in women leaders. The study also says, it's become different during pandemic. So the first one being, Ruchi, and empathetic leadership, which I feel women bring a very strong aspect on the table. The twist, what has happened is, post-pandemic, this is an expected leadership in both genders. It's mandatory. It's changed the world. And if you read a lot about it, empathy is a skill set they're saying, bring it with you. It's not something we want to teach you. It's expected as a foundation. But that I felt women are very good at. So I'll give you an example. And Mr. Vasan, I'm fine if you disagree, but I'm going to be open about it. You're walking in a bay. There are people sitting. Somebody is upset. There is a very high probability the woman walking across, the woman leader walking across would ask, "How are you? Did you have a bad day?" While the male leader will walk across saying, "Let's go for the meeting." It's an observation, it's a study, it does talk about, and it comes from the fact how women are nurtured versus the men. So it's not anything what men are doing, it's the way. And we bring that strong skill set on the table. And I feel that's something which is so much required now, post-pandemic. Women hold a higher hand. That. The second one being building relationships. It might be a biased answer, but I feel women work very hard at home in balancing the husband, the wife, the mother, the father, the children, parents as caregivers, as supporters, multitasking. They do so much. And if they can run a very complicated house and have such great relationships, 99% women are the ones who remember the birthdays for the whole family, who would remember whom to give, what to do, where to wish, how to run, whom to take care, which doctor, which medicine. If they spend so much time building those relationships, they have a very strong strength of doing that in an office environment. Some of us don't use that. It's a strong, strong skill set because building relationships leave a strong message with how you treat people. It leaves a strong message on you can get your work done easier because if you have stronger relationship, it's not what you're going to get done, it's the how you're going to get it done. And that becomes much more faster and easier. So the second one is building relationships. They're very strong at. I think they should use it more often in office. In fact, that helps you to network also, which for women is the last thing in priority. If you can utilize your building relationships for networking, you become much more stronger. Because networking is not about drinking, smoking, having talks, and pandemic has changed. We used to say that men have their cricket talks or football talks, and I feel out of place. Now all networking is the way we are doing just now. It's an equal playground. Make the most of it. Nobody's going anywhere. But then use your building relationship skills there. The third one really is resilience. As you are growing and you're doing so much to make your place everywhere, make your identity, and it's primarily in India because you try to make, because of those biases which we are brought up in, I think you become very resilient. But the moment it comes to our jobs, our working, at times we fall into that discomfort and we want to hold back ourselves. We don't want to push ourselves. That's where I say we create our own glass ceiling, Ruchi. It's not the world's glass ceiling which everybody talks about. I'm talking about my own glass ceiling. Can I do it? Will I be able to do it? Should I apply? Should I look into this job? You have so much of resilience. Just go for it. Ask for it. Jump into it. If you'll fail, you will still learn. And somebody else will remember you tried something. You're not going to win all the battles. Learn to lose some. But just be out there. And you have that skill set. I actually run this program called Speak Up Lady program, which is outside the company I work with. And I mentor women there. And I actually talk about it's for mid-management women because I feel there is so much potential in them. They have the aspiration, they want to grow, but they hold back because they never focus on their personal branding. They don't talk about their, life stage transitions very confidently. They don't look at a work-life integration and they don't network, building relationships. So I really feel these three things come out so strongly, and I teach that in that program because it's so very important to use those skills. You can win any battle.
Deepika, I think very good points, and I'm sure Mr. Vasan will agree that women definitely add. So knowledge everybody gets in, but I think there are some of these softer skills that kind of come onto the table.
Yeah,
And
I would like to add, sorry, I
yeah,
would like to
sure,
add
sure.
one more point to Deepika's point. See, from my experience, it's totally my personal view. From my experience, the women basically they go by the process and achieve the result, right? The men are looking at the result. In between, there are some process are getting missed out. So I could able to correlate these two to tell in a very simple way. Hope Deepika, you agree with me on this.
Right, and I think
Totally.
Mr. yeah, go ahead,
Totally.
Deepika.
Yeah, totally, Mr. Vasan. And it comes from probably because you brought a very good point. As auditors, you would see that difference. As
Absolutely.
auditors, you can see they will not straight away jump to the result. They will
Exactly.
tell you the journey. I totally agree with you.
And Mr. Vasan, I was actually going to ask you a ssimilar kind of a thing because being at an organization, having so much time you've spent, you've dealt with your male juniors, female juniors, peers, and all of that. And again, I am not asking you to be biased, but just a thought, like what do you see? You've mentioned one thing definitely, the process versus the result, but you because all organizations are seeing a change. They are seeing a change in terms of having diversity inclusion, having equal workforce and all of that. So what are some of the things that you or your organization has been doing in terms of the gender equality thing that you feel?
Absolutely. See, now the days are changing very fast. I mean, we are not in the earlier old days where I mean we used to have the gender-based system of recruitment, but everything is gone now. Now the things are on a different platform, and there are equal. In fact, sometimes it is more. I mean, people are delivering extremely well, and that there are a lot of leadership roles and they are into and they guide so many men population as well as I mean women population. So they play a vital role in any organization for that sake. Wherever I worked, I mean, I could able to see. I mean, and mostly I could. I mean, I worked with a lot of HR people in that area. I learned a lot from them because the way. I mean, being a finance guy, I mean, definitely I learned a lot of HR skills from a lot of HR leaders, mainly women leaders, because they bring in a different I mean, what you say, the different solution to the problem, which we would have never imagined. So that way, the process, that's why I told the process way they adopt is totally different, and we could see a different way of approach in dealing with the problems. So, I mean, that has really helped everybody. I mean, it helps the organization also. So, I mean, to say that nowadays there is no such I mean the partialities or I mean they are equally I mean into every area and they really add a lot of value to the system, so that way really we admire it.
I think I am going to stop myself in terms of asking a lot of corporate and work stuff, because काम ही काम करते रहेंगे क्या यहाँ पर तो I think we should feel like a Sunday and we should ask some questions which are more like a Sunday feeling. And I remember at the start of the session you mentioned that you were a big fan of Kapil Dev, right?
Yeah.
So what do you still play cricket to relax yourself, or how do you really relax yourself, if I have to put it.
Yes,
In a
whenever I have an opportunity, I play cricket. Definitely, because that was my key sport. And then I do a lot of yoga, which is really helping. That too, I mean, for the stress related, definitely. Usually, I don't keep the stress with me. Immediately, I will give to someone else. So that,
Smart.
yeah, so that yoga really helps. And of course, I listen to lot of music. So definitely. But as you said, the playing is very, very important. And still, whenever I have an opportunity, I play cricket. That really helps.
How do you balance work life? I'm sure the family requires a lot of time also, equally important because
Absolutely, absolutely. Because my wife is also employed. In fact, she works for the central government. So definitely, it is a balancing act we have to do on a daily basis, and we are doing it for over 25 years. So I don't see any issues there. And definitely, I mean, work-life balance. The wife plays a major role in when we maintain our work-life balance. So that's how it goes.
Okay, that's nice. So, Deepika, I'm going to have the same kind of a similar tone question, but I think I'm going to keep in your point, which I really heard at the moment where you talked about a Speak Up Lady session that you do. And you've also mentioned that you do a lot of work around diversity and inclusion in the spaces that you feel. So do you really think there's, still that requirement that we still work on diversity and inclusion while the whole world is moving towards gender equality, and I think a lot of things goes unsaid. I think nowadays when a CV goes to an employer, for recruitment, I don't think that the person would be really seeing a male or a female. For them the skills really matter. Or do you hold a different opinion, because
No,
you're already working on it?
no, Ruchi. So I totally agree with you. And that's why I talked about two glass ceilings. One is what the world creates, and one is what you create. And I really feel, Ruchi, uh, I work majorly on the second one because I feel that's very important to work on. If you look at women numbers, they are like a pyramid. So when you look at, let's go with CA only, there'll be a very big number who enter. There'll be a fantastic number who pass. But the number reduces when it comes to a practice or a job. When you get married, at times you take a back seat. You start the job, you become a mother, the guilt pulls you down. The number reduces further. You start growing, and unconscious bias sets in when people around you also start telling you, you have a good job, your family is there, why do you want to grow? Life is going very well. Have a nice work-life balance. So the number decreases again. If you look at it at the top in India, we are still only 20%. While the potential is much higher, Ruchi. It's almost equal. Right? You see an almost equal passing rate, even from the women. But the moment you reach there, you are really reducing. Is it really the world bias, or is it our own bias where we hold ourselves back? And I know you'll say my family is not supporting, I have to take care of my children, I feel guilty about my children. And that's where it comes out. Create a support network if you really feel you can. Because, I also feel being a housewife is a full job. I respect that a lot. It's not easy to bring up children. It's not easy to bring up old parents, even if you're not married. It's very difficult as a caregiver. But I also feel that you took effort to invest in yourself and study. Don't let it pass. Don't let it go. Go slow in your journey. Take your breaks. Take your step backs whenever you want. But don't bash yourself. I am behind. Somebody's in the front. Don't create or compare your journeys to the people. Your journey, your competition, whatever has to be with you. Have you moved forward is what you should be concerned about. Because everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different life altogether. So I still feel there is a huge requirement to give that support, mentoring to women, to tell them it's okay to move forward, it's okay to grow. And you have a lot of men saying, I am fine if you take the lead and I can take. Earlier, I don't remember any man saying, I want to quit the job because I feel my children are neglected. All the women say it, including me. I have gone through that journey when I told my husband, I need to quit my job, the maid's not there. And my husband told me, oh, the maid decides whether you do your job or not. So when you decide, you should be telling you want to do a job or not the maid. So that's where I feel you still need that. You still need to support. You still need to push the women. And trust me, ask for help, ask for mentorship, look at role models, join some support networks, and you will suddenly realize you're in a different world altogether. And you will find your space. But simple answer to your question, yes, I still feel we need, but I feel that's more required for our biases versus people who create the biases.
Deepika, I think bang on, I think हम अपने आप से ज्यादा डरते हैं दुनिया से ज्यादा, if I have to put it in literal Hindi. So yeah. Mr. Vasan, just a quick question for one of our, viewers or spectators is like, just wanting to know that, did you have any instance when maybe it was your first talk with a press conference or maybe your first talk with the shareholders or something where you're really either scared or you felt, nahi, yaar, main aage nahi badh paunga or something like that, and how did you handle that? Has there been first such incident? And if there is, then if you'd like to share.
Yeah, passing out the CA itself, that was the one of the scary moment. Anyhow, that is that we have crossed it. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I faced the challenge in the IPO roadshow basically because other things we can handle it because as CAs we are good. We think that we are good in numbers and we know that. See, and if we understand the process, everything is in your hand. Whether it is HR area or it is manufacturing operations, whatever the area, you should be able to have a grip of it if you understand the process. So we will not let us down in that area. So when it comes to meet the outside world, there only we, the finance fraternity, I could say that we may face a challenge in facing the outside world. That has happened to me in the IPO roadshow. So that was, it's completely a different exposure. And suddenly I was asked to do the job. Actually, the time given to me was only 15 days. So we have to travel abroad, and there are a lot of bankers, and we met around 75 investors throughout the world. So I had a different sort of problem. In the first meeting itself, I could be able to sense it. So I was alerted myself, and then I immediately started doing the homework. So I spent, because there we will not have much time to get into the next meetings. It will be highly, very, very hectic schedule. And you have to travel also. You may not have much sleep also. So that was the, journey which I was taking forward. So immediately I get into the learning mode again. Then I just realized what was the problem we faced, and immediately we could be able to sense the issues and definitely how it will come up with the other people. So I could be able to clearly work on the solution immediately to that. So with that, I mean, I could able to completely come out of the issue, and next time it has not happened. So definitely mistake will happen, problem will happen, but we should not repeat that again. So that was my take on that. So with that, I could able to handle, so that I could able to come out of that situation quickly.
Okay, you're right.
Ruchi,
I
can
think.
I add something on
Sure, sure,
IPO
sure.
after
Sure,
you
sure.
finish? After you
No, no,
finish.
I was just saying that, I think falling is not a problem, but I think getting up is more important. How fast you get up and how well you're able to manage that. That's important. Yeah, Deepika, you can
Yeah,
add.
I was just going to say, since you were talking about gender, all the women out there, go read the Nika story. Just read
Right.
it.
I
IPO
agree.
just reminded me the Nika story,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
wonderful to follow that. You'll get inspired to do so much in life.
Deepika, I think I want to ask you because you've been in this journey for, as you said, 30 years now, into post qualification and into corporate world and stuff. A lot of people, and especially CAs, as we say, and I'm going to focus more on CAs. This could be a problem for others also, but at the forum that we are in, um, we all feel at some stage in our careers that either we are stuck or we're not moving. We're looking for the next level and that's not happening. Or maybe I'm not sure whether I should be in this same field or should I change my field, because as we said, that we bring in so much skill sets that we may be into tax but will not want to continue in tax, as an example, maybe wanting to go into audit, any of those things. I'm sure you've experienced that, or you've even mentored people having that kind of an experience. So, what would you like to share with our, viewers on board today to understand, or how should they handle such situations if they face something like this?
I may sound repetitive, Ruchi, but it's very natural. It's very natural. We get stuck, and unfortunately, we have our blind spots, which we don't realize. And at times, we then land up saying that probably the line I'm doing is not working, the place I'm working is not happening. And what works at that time when you see you're stuck, it's good to go to your mentor somewhere, ask, this is what I am doing, what's wrong where? And you may come to know what is that. And it may be very shocking, Ruchi, very shocking to know. One more thing, and I'll probably come to the second thing, let me just share that. But there has been times when I was stuck, and lots of times, it's not once. I will be lie to say that, but I came to know I was being a very high maintenance employee. I didn't even know what high maintenance employee meant. Now, a high maintenance employee is somebody who asks for lots of work to do, is always demanding a lot of things to drive, and there are times you may not have it. And that was a blind spot I was in for whatever energy I have, passion I have. And a mentor had to come back and tell me, listen, because I said, what's wrong? What am I doing wrong? Where? I think I'm just very good everywhere. And he just tapped, again, it was a he. And he tapped my shoulder and he said, no, this is what I hear about you. Take a step back. So finding a mentor and putting the situation very quickly there at times lets you know your blind spots, your situations. But there is another thing, Ruchi. Sometimes I just feel, and I could be wrong, people do change lines, people do things. But because I kept doing things what was available to me at that time, I had my limitations. First time I was in Chennai, then I landed up in Faridabad, which is NCR in Delhi. And I was pregnant. I had my first baby. So my in-laws said, find something in Faridabad. And the only thing which I felt I liked was Times Bank Limited, which became HDFC. I walked in, told them, I am this and I want a job. I actually did that. And they gave me a job because I was pretty confident. They wanted in the front desk. They wanted, and I became an assistant manager there. And I was the only woman there. There were no women in that branch, in that city, in banking at that time. But what I wanted to say was, it's in your hands what you make out of what you land up in. It could be the smallest job. How you make it big for yourself is in your skills. You may not have the best position, but how do you make the best position out of the position you are in is again up to your skills. If you don't spend time focusing on the fact everything is wrong in what I'm doing and spend time in saying what I'm doing, how it's going to benefit to the company, and if your goals are attached to the organizational goals, you will crack it. So there may be times when you can change things. There may be times you can't change things. Then whatever you have, make it as big as you can because nobody's stopping you. Don't wait for others to come back and do those things for you. I would just say that.
Deepika, sorry, but I just have a similar question. In today's world, I think everybody is just looking for the next level. Is that the right thought, if I have to?
It is a very simple thing which is taught to us, right? A growth is never like this because if it is like this, it comes like this. But if a growth is like this, that means you keep adding your experience on a vertical level. Then you are learning at every lateral which you take for the next vertical. But if you want to jump like this, there is a huge possibility you'll fall like this because you don't have a foundation in each of them. What will hold it? I mean, that's how maths work. That's how the diagram works, You still give the horizontal line, the vertical line to make the triangle because you support it, right? Or a building. If it is made like this, it will fall. But if you put your builders on it, it grows. So we've been taught, please learn on the way, take your laterals along. That's how corporate teaches. Don't look for a vertical. You're very right. Today's generation wants everything very fast. It's not going to happen like that. It may happen in some times. Some things will take time. And if you are learning and taking lateral, but there are some people, and it's amazing to see them in today's generation, they don't care about the position. They want to learn. They want to learn fast. They want to try new things. They want to get new skills. That's another set of people. So just see which set of people you want to be. But I would really, really talk about the fact of where you go, take a lateral, go higher, take a lateral. It may be 2 laterals, but you learn wide variety of skills. Make yourself stronger, that by the time you reach there, you have the skills to survive there,
Mr. Vasan, like you are a CFO, and again, I'm not going with the designations, but what I mean is you're at a senior level in an organization who's actually holding the fort for the organization from a finance perspective. And in today's time, if because I interact with a lot of young chartered accountants, budding chartered accountants, and and I kind of mentor them when they're kind of stuck. The first question, if I have to ask any CA, why do you want to become a chartered accountant? I think many a times I get that answer. I want to be a CFO of a company. That's like a dream for every chartered accountant, whether it's a student, whether it's a budding chartered, new chartered accountant. So, since you've already achieved what some people are aspiring to achieve, what will be some of the things that you would like to tell them, or how can they really handle their journey, both from, the pace perspective and knowledge of, or maybe if I have to put it, what are some of the mantras that you will have to share with them?
Yeah, sure. See, there are two answers. One is from the professional front on dealing the situation. See, basically, as a CA, they should have a commercial understanding of the complete environment, whether they are in the industry or in the practice. And they should possess the analytical skills. Naturally, they will have, but it is required more nowadays. So these two things, one is commercial and the analytical skills on the professional front, which is very, very important nowadays. So without that, there will be a lot of stoppages in between. This is number one. Number two, I see the soft skills, which is lacking in the, I could say, including myself. The soft skills are very, very important nowadays because the communication, for example, the communication skills, that is going to be the backbone of the building trust. Okay, and because we need to deal with a lot of stakeholders in the critical aspect, right? So the soft skills, I think they have to plan a lot on improving the soft skills. And because we have external stakeholders, analysts, investors, and so many, finance is a vast function, so they have to interact with everybody. So the soft skills are going to play a major role, which they have to mandatorily to focus on. And the constant learning, right? Whether he or she is a manager or a GM or CFO or president or CEO, the outside world, it is the name, designation, everything is only for the outside world. So inside, you have to ensure that you are safeguarding the interest of the company or the firm wherever you are there. So this mantra is very, very helpful because if we take that designation into our head, then it spoils everything. Then you are in a different gambit, which may not help us to grow. Like Deepika told, that growth will not come immediately. It will be like, then if the growth is immediate, then it will be like a market fall. So we have to be prepared for that. and another important thing which I want to touch up is on the professional front. See, in the global corporate environment, recently I saw one report where less than 1/3 of CFOs or finance heads are only chartered accountants, right? So this representation, they are saying that it is going to come down. So that means somebody eating our pie. The pie is very huge, but somebody is eating our pie. So there are huge opportunities, whether it's in India or outside. And you are seeing a lot of IPOs now in India, which is coming up. And there are a lot of regulatory governance. So the opportunity before a chartered accountants are very, very huge, whether they are in practice or in industry. Are we tapping it? So we should aim for tapping it. Without keeping any designation, because if you have goal, okay, anybody can have goals. That's not a problem. But my take is, you don't have any goals. You play the entire ground. Wherever you want to play, you play it. But we stick on to that and give your honest effort to that job or whatever it is. So, but definitely, because now if you take a goal in the present situation, the goals, immediately you have to take a U-turn. You don't know. So that's sort of a situation we are in. So, keeping a goal is better, but don't be very finicky about it. I have to reach this, reach that. It will come in automatically. If you are honest, everything will fall in place. There is no looking backwards on that. And coming to the professional, this is from the professional front. And from the personal front, the learning, learning is nothing but a knowledge. Definitely, as I said earlier, the learning is very, very critical. And money is only secondary. I could able to see that money is secondary. And if you are following certain principles, everything will fall in line. And definitely luck also is going to play a major role. But definitely, if you're honest enough, then luck will automatically will fall in place. And maybe there will be a time gap, etc. That will come automatically. So I think uh, considering the opportunities we have, I mean, we have a, I mean, larger role to play, and there are a lot of opportunities. I think we have to tap on it. How to tap it? We have to constantly work on it, and there are huge opportunities are available. So that is what I could able to say that these are all the critical area. If they focus on it, definitely there are so many opportunities are available for us. They can grow easily.
I think great points actually, Mr. Vasan. I think it's more of that dedication which is important. And I think Deepika did mention, the universe is there to help you. So if you think you have a goal, you can achieve the goal. It's just that how do you manage it is very important. Deepika, we have a question from one of the viewers today, and they want to understand that you've been managing so many things as you mentioned, work, family, life. Did you ever think ki, why am I doing so much? Let me just quit, And did you face such a situation? That's first thing. Did any of your scenarios make you think that let me quit, and take a relaxed life? If you had such a situation, how did you manage that?
So I did share, and that was one time, or not, there were a number of times, but that was one time which I had this very strong feeling of quitting when I was the second time a mom. Because the first time I actually quit and went to Switzerland with my husband because my child was 10 months old and we both decided that we won't keep the child away from each of the parent, So I quit my job and I traveled with him for a year. And that time also I felt my world has come to an end. I'm going to die. My whole career is over. What was my age? 24 years. And my husband actually said, you have a CA degree. You really think you have doubt that you'll get a job again? And I said, yeah, I'm not going to go. I was with Times Bank Limited and I was so important. I said, I'm going to live here only. And anyway, I landed up in Switzerland. And when I came back, I did get the job in the same organization, same place. They wanted me back. But when I was a second time mom and I was working such long hours, I just wanted to quit. The guilt factor which we all face is very strong. And probably at that time, every time I felt I'm being unfair. Am I being fair to my children? Should I take a break? But I took a step back. I had a good support system from mentoring side, including my husband, who said you quit when you feel you want to quit and not because of the circumstances, because you'll make it difficult for others also. Because like I said, you have to choose your guilt. And you might have a guilt later that I didn't work when I wanted to work, and because of my family, I gave it up. And so we worked on my support system. I worked what I wanted to keep working, and I did that. So it's a phase where you really feel pulled down, and the right counseling and support helps. And like Ruchi said, the universe helps, when you want to look for what you want to do. When I changed jobs and I went from banking to back-end shared services, banking was where I learned a lot of customer management, customer focus. And I was in this place where, Hindi में रोज पूछा जाता था धंधा कितना किया. Numbers matter, things matter. And here I went to a global organization where things were different. Everything had to be aligned. Things were slow. Every day I would come back and say, I want to go back. I want to go back. I want to work with ICICI only. And I'd change jobs out of my choice. I'd change jobs, look for the job myself. It was my decision. Every time I felt I want to quit, I probably want to go back. And again, what changed was my CV's top line, which said I'm a transformational person. My CV says that everywhere. I'm a change a person who can handle change and ambiguity. And that struck me. How could I give up so easily? If I am a person who has the strength of change and ambiguity, let me go back and work on that for myself in the new place. Uh, now I don't feel like giving up anything. I'm a greedy person. I use my time. And by greedy, I didn't mean money. I'm greedy that how much difference or value I can add on the table is my mantra. I believe leaders in today's world are not doing enough if they can't create more leaders. Followers will happen itself. Don't worry about the followers. Focus on creating more leaders, and that's my passion. And if that takes, I'm sitting in Gwalior for a wedding. After 15 minutes, I'm going to dress up and go for the wedding. I belong to Delhi. I traveled here, but I carried my laptop to do this because I felt this was important, what I am doing. So I feel very passionately about things, what I drive and do, and nothing stops me from that. I make the universe work for me how it has to find a solution. And I feel good about it. God's been kind, universe is kind. Ruchi's been kind, who said it's okay to take the call from the hotel. You can make out it's a hotel room. This is not my room. So, yeah.
So, Mr. Vasan, we have a question from a viewer, okay, and that is actually today in nowadays time, there's a concept of a virtual CFO which is getting a lot of big momentum. Organizations or even startups are not wanting to take a burden by hiring a CFO, but they kind of keep virtual CFOs. So, what do you think that is this like? What is your view, and what do you think are the opportunities around in this space of a virtual CFO?
Yeah, see, the virtual CFOs, I think it is going to be temporary. It may not be a permanent thing because now when we have a lot of challenges before us, it's a regulatory or any laws for that sake. Personally, I feel that the virtual CFO is still there. I mean, there are a lot of virtual CFO concepts are there, but in my view, in longer run, it may not help. And definitely, CFO has to be there to play a role. And in fact, when the work from home concept was there, I mean, we used to have a board meet, we used to have a AGM, everything was happening virtually. But still, the comfort, personally, I feel that somebody has to be there and to take care of the things. System has to move like that in that way only. This may be a temporary phenomenon, I feel.
Yeah, no, and I think I agree with you because an organization cannot be run with finance being just a temporary aspect, right? I'm sure
Absolutely, yeah.
organizations will not have business, you don't have virtual CEOs.
Right, absolutely.
They are only for temporary. So, I think I have a similar view. You can have virtual aspects only for expertise or
Exactly.
wherever you just need a consultancy.
Yeah.
But a finance or a CFO can't be something that you can have, which is more like a consultancy.
Absolutely right.
It's a total bread and butter
Yeah.
kind of a thing. Mr. Vasan, I'm sorry, but I have to cheat from our conversation to ask you this next question.
Okay.
I think Ruchi's.
Yeah, I think she's off the line.
Yeah. So while she's coming, no problem.
Yeah.
I can question you, Mr. Vasan, if you're
Yeah, please.
fine, because it's been interesting to hear about you.
Right.
Okay. What are you going to plan for the next 5 years for yourself?
See, that's what. See, I don't have any plans. Very simple. So I will take whatever coming in my way, and definitely, if I take a decision, I'm very clear that I have to stick on to that. So I will not plan very big. So like that, only everything has happened. So things are falling in place. I'm just going in the way. So that's what I mean. I don't have any big plans to target or fall in place. I will take whatever comes in my way, and it's going fine so far. So I go with the wind.
Lovely, lovely. And when you interact with the younger CAs these days, because you're a CFO, you would have a lot of them there. Um, what do you think two things are there which are different and more stronger in them versus what we started and came in?
Absolutely. I think there are more qualities. See, one is, I mean, the aggressiveness, right? The aggressiveness is very good with these young people because they want to learn things very fast. And I mean, whether it is, they don't bother about the impact, right? They just want to crack it. So the aggression is damn good. I mean, at that time, that aggression, I doubt whether we had because that was a different environment, and that time opportunities was very less. And nowadays they have huge opportunities to learn also, and just while going to home, they learn something. They just come to office, they learn something. So that way they're very aggressive in catching up the things. So that way I like them very much. And the team bonding, see that way this generation, the team bonding is very good, and they are delivering the results as a team. That is fantastic. So I mean that way it was very nice to see the people work as team and give and take policies. Pretty good actually. These things I think I really admire from them.
No, I totally agree. The fire in the belly is very strong
Right.
in
Absolutely.
today's generation, and it's a great thing to learn from them. I totally, totally agree. Anything particular you want to share with the audience, Mr. Vasan?
Yeah, basically, as I told, the profession what we are in is very good, and there is a huge and opportunities are available, and for a CA specifically, and the environment is opening to so many new areas, and I think we should come out to the new areas where we have to learn the things in and any vertical, and we should not stick on to the okay. We should not with the simple mindset of I will not go beyond this. This is my area. I will work within this. I think they have to break that barrier and come out, and they should work accordingly so that the learning opportunities are very huge, and they should be able to achieve things and in a very short span of time. I think now even 30, 35, I could able to see CFOs in companies. So that is the way the things are changing. So that way they have to look up for new things.
I'm sorry, I just got disconnected. I don't know.
Agreed, agreed. This was lovely.
Yeah, we had a quick interaction within ourselves.
I was playing your own Ruchi.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that, Deepika. So kind of you. So I think my question was to Mr. Vasan was going to be based on one of our discussions that we, had before the session. And Mr. Vasan said that he has quite an interest in music. So I just thought I should change the subject a bit and make it lighter to ask, Mr. Vasan, you said cricket and you said music, so what kind of music do you like? And, how do you balance between like cricket and music?
See, cricket now, very rarely we are playing because the opportunities have become very less. And even after the COVID, I mean, earlier we used to play a lot of badminton within the company, and we used to have a lot of tournaments. And in fact, my earlier companies used to play cricket tournaments and all that. We have a lot of the jerseys printed with the names. So nowadays that things are totally gone because of the COVID. I mean, I don't know. I should pray that situation should change quickly, and we have to come back to the normalcy. So that is how cricket got stuck. And when come for music, naturally, when the work from home started, really it was a disaster. Personally, for me, I mean, we used to work on the table and we used to go to the office on time and finish the agenda, but that was becoming, it was completely turned the table. So the interest with music, because I don't know in South and in India also, you might be knowing about Ilayaraja. So I'm a great fan of Ilayaraja. So I used to listen music of his old songs, and definitely that was a relaxing piece for me.
Okay, that's nice. So, Deepika, you've already mentioned about doing so much, other than, your professional office time in terms of spending time with, mentees that you do, for women that you do. But what is it that you do for yourself, if I have to ask you that? What is that one thing that you like to do for your own self?
So, though I never planned to do CA, but CA has left a huge mark on me. And that's why I said I'm a 5 a.m. person because of being a CA. Throughout my life, I have done something or the other. I either go for swimming. I mean, pre-COVID times, I would go to gym. I would go for walks. I will do yoga, but my morning time goes for me, myself. I feel that's very important, and I have grown with my children. I have told myself that I have learned with my children. I learned swimming at the age of 40 when my daughter wanted to learn swimming because my mother-in-law used to swim, and my daughter used to say everybody's in the pool except you. It took me a month to get into a swimsuit because I had that fear of how bad I would look. And yeah, and now it's okay. But yes, 10 years back I learned, and I learned dancing. We were the only 40-year-old couple, my husband and I, who did a stage performance of salsa. Um because my daughter loves dancing, and she's a trained Kathak dancer. She's a performing art person. But as she was growing as a child, she said, "I want you to learn," and I said, "Okay, fine, let's go learn." So I have learned and grown with my children. That's why I say, if somebody says, your growth pattern, or somebody introduces me, I love to say I'm a mother of two children. That's been part of my growth. So that's something I love to do. I love audio listening in my walks. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I follow a lot of. I love reading books. There's not so much of time I get, but I follow a lot of podcast and listening. So that helps a lot. Yeah, and then of course my mentoring takes my time. That's my passion.
Okay, that's nice. And really, it's such a great conversation that we've had with both of you, and I really thank you for being honest and being so candid that, the time's just flown by. I just realized that it's when I got disconnected actually and I saw the watch, I was like, oh my God, we've just got so much of a time. And I would really like to thank both of you, Mr. Vasan and Deepika, to be here and share your journeys. And I'm sure this would have been greatly motivational to our viewers, and they will learn from this. And we have Shalini back, so I'm going to hand it over to Shalini to do the final details. But thanks a lot from your side, thanks a lot from my side to be here. And I hope I have not been a bad host for both of you, and I didn't take the tricky questions.
Thank you so much. It was so nice.
Thanks a lot for the wonderful session and sparing your valuable time for the Institute and the members. And the session was wonderful. I enjoyed. I think all the members must have enjoyed the session. Thank you very much. We'll look forward for you for the future programs of the ICI.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks, Ruchi.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you. Take care.
Jay, are we done with the